Who on earth do you think you are? Do you have any idea who you are talking to right now? Mr. Stephen Craig's voice echoed in the plane's first-class cabin. I can buy you and everything you own, he yelled, his face turning red in a rage. His voice was so loud it attracted the attention of other passengers on board, who began whispering to one another, wondering what the whole commotion was about. Mr. Stephen was the owner of a huge construction company based in California. He had just signed his latest contract, which he had been pursuing for the past couple of months. However, things took a nosedive when he got a call from Texas informing him that his mother had fallen down the stairs and broken her hip bone. She had to undergo a hip replacement surgery and needed help moving around. Hence, he had been making a lot of trips from California to Texas. It was always a bittersweet feeling to be home. Stephen was a hard worker who had not grown up rich. He had worked very hard to be where he was today. However, the stress of the past few days had gotten to him, and the incident at the airport had been the straw on the camel's back. He nearly missed his flight as there were some issues with the delivery of some of the materials needed on site. It had taken him a full hour to have everything sorted out, and by the time he was through, he had about 30 minutes left to get to the airport on time. On entering the plane, he discovered that someone was in his seat. A wave of annoyance brushed through him. Seriously? He pondered. The fellow who had occupied his seat wore a hoodie that covered his face and designer sneakers. Must be one of those rich kids, he thought. He had a bad history with rich kids. Having grown up in a family with 4 kids and with both parents working 2 jobs, his family couldn't afford to give him some of the luxuries that other kids had, so he was often bullied and made fun of. Well, no matter. He was rich now and had enough money to shut the mouth of anyone who would think of making fun of him. He had a really sweet apartment in Los Angeles and real estate properties scattered across the United States. He could afford to drive whatever car he wanted and buy almost anything he wanted. Young man, sorry to inform you, but you are in my seat, he said in a slightly arrogant tone. However, the man seemed preoccupied with his phone and wasn't even paying him attention. I said, you're in my seat, he said with more force in his tone. This caused the young man to look up. His face looked vaguely familiar, but Mr. Stephen was too stressed to recall where he had seen him from. I'm so sorry, but would you mind taking the other seat? I would like to sit at the window side, the young man asked. This seemed to anger Mr. Stephen the more. I don't care what you want, Mr. Stephen fumed. That's my seat and I want you out. I understand, sir, but that was as far as the stranger could go before Mr. Stephen exploded. Do you know who I am? Who on earth do you think you are? He yelled, getting the attention of the other passengers. They started whispering among themselves, wondering what the commotion was all about. The sound of Mr. Stephen's voice attracted one of the flight attendants to him. Good day, sir, but is everything all right? She asked politely. All right? Does it look like anything is all right here? He yelled right into her face. The air hostess was so shocked she reared back a bit. However, being a professional, one of her job criteria was to know how to deal with disgruntled customers. Sir, if you could please explain in detail what happened, maybe I would be able to help, she said in a professional tone. Help? It is this entitled fellow here. Now listen up, young man. I worked hard to make my money and nobody helped me, so show me some respect, he fumed. Melissa, the flight attendant, gave a mental sigh. This was not how she wanted her week to end. She was looking forward to slipping into the weekend hassle-free. Dealing with an angry customer was not at the top of her to-do list. She turned to the fellow who seemed to be the reason the other man was upset, only to stop in her tracks. She blinked to make sure she wasn't dreaming. Then she blinked again, her mouth opening in surprise. Melissa began, only to be cut short by Mr. Stephen ranting. Now listen, I don't mean to brag, but I've made a lot of money, and I did it by working hard, so don't you dare look down on me. People like you may be used to getting whatever you want, whenever you want, but that won't work on me. You got that, punk? In a very cool voice, the stranger replied, Sir, I don't appreciate the tone you're using with me. I made a simple request, but that doesn't give you the right to be so rude to me. This attracted more attention from the other passengers. When they turned to look at the man with whom Mr. Stephen was having a bout with, there were gasps of surprise and murmurs of excitement. People began to bring out their phones to record the showdown. Oh my God, that's Elon Musk, a woman shouted. Elon Musk? Where? That was the moment Mr. Stephen realized that he was being recorded. He then looked closely at the young man he was yelling at, and a look of recognition dawned on his face. It was Elon Musk, in the flesh, his mouth gaped open in shock. Never in a million years would Mr. Stephen have imagined that the person he was exchanging words with on the plane would be Elon Musk. What are the odds? Don't rich people like him have private jets and stuff like that? In a bid to save Mr. Stephen from further embarrassment, the air hostess interrupted his speech. Mr. Elon Musk, I'm so sorry to bother you, but there seems to be a mix-up concerning the seats you were allocated to. If you would please follow me to your designated seat. she said with the sweetest smile on her face, and ushered him to a new seat, leaving poor Mr. Stephen dumbfounded. After ensuring Elon Musk was comfortable, she returned to Mr. Stephen and said, "Sir, the plane will be taking off soon. Please have your seat and fasten your seatbelt. We are about to take off." Mr. Stephen did as he was told in a haze. Did he just fight Elon Musk? Did he just brag about his money to Elon Musk, the richest man in the world? Compared to Musk's money, his was nothing. For the rest of the flight, Mr. Stephen was sober and thoughtful. He did not regret his actions. He deserved it, Mr. Stephen thought darkly. After all, he took his seat and tried to act entitled. You can't have everything you want because you are richer than others. Sometimes someone has to tell it to them straight, he thought arrogantly. Mr. Stephen pondered his next course of action. After meditating on his previous actions, he decided he had been wrong. The situation could have been diverted completely if only he had kept a cool head. However, his temper had gotten the best of him and a sense of unease washed over him. Mr. Elon Musk was a powerful man and he had just embarrassed him in public. What would Elon Musk do? Meanwhile, Elon Musk sat on his newly reassigned seat and began reminiscing about his day. He had decided to fly by a commercial airline today, which was an impulsive decision. His private jets were undergoing maintenance and safety checks, and they could not take off on time due to glitches. So, he decided to fly commercial. He had a meeting with the development unit back at the SpaceX headquarters in California. While he could spare some time to wait for his aircraft to be ready, he simply decided to book a flight. When he got to the airport, he went through the necessary flight check-ins and boarded the plane. However, to avoid recognition, he pulled up his hoodie. This explains why Mr. Stephen didn't recognize him initially. The hostess led him to a window seat in the first-class cabin, for which he was grateful. Unknown to him, that particular seat had already been given to someone else. Elon sat comfortably and had just begun to make himself when a man interrupted him, claiming that the seat was his. Running into Mr. Stevens was an experience. He could hear the whispered conversations of the other passengers behind him. "That man was so rude to Elon Musk. What do you think he's going to do to him? I can't believe I'm on the same plane with the richest man in the world. You think I can take a selfie with him? I'm sure Elon Musk will crush him. I mean, he's a very powerful figure." Musk couldn't deny that the entire issue left him feeling embarrassed and angry. It's amazing how he didn't react harshly despite Mr. Stevens' rude behavior earlier. However, Elon Musk was not a man ruled by sentiment. By the time the flight landed in Texas, both men had reached a conclusion. As they departed the plane, Elon Musk heard someone call out his name from behind. He turned only to come face to face with Mr. Stephen Craig. Everyone who had been in the first-class cabin watched in fascination, curious about what would happen next. Some people brought out their phones and began recording the whole scenario. Good day, Mr. Elon. My name is Mr. Stephen Craig. I'm the owner of Dexter's Construction Company, and I would like an apology for what happened on the plane today." Everyone gasped in shock. Did he just tell Elon Musk to apologize? Talk about being bold? This is going to be juicy, some people whispered. "I'm sorry." "Excuse me?" Elon Musk asked, feeling a bit annoyed. "Yeah," Mr. Stephen replied. "You made my journey unpleasant with what you did. Just because you are the richest man in the world does not make you better than anybody else. You have to follow the same rules we all do, all right? I pay my bills, I pay my taxes too. I'm an American citizen just like you, so don't go about acting like you are better than the rest of us," Mr. Stevens said with a mocking smile on his face. "I've got you now," he thought triumphantly. "So much for you thinking you are better than us just because you are richer. I'll put you in your place." There were gasps of outrage over Mr. Stevens' speech. Everyone looked to Elon Musk, ready to hear his response. What he said to Mr. Stevens shocked everyone present there. "Mr. Steven, can you point to any scenario or instance while on the plane where I made it look like I was better than you in any way? As far as I'm concerned, you seem eager to flaunt your wealth to belittle others. You seem to be a selfish person who cannot seem to appreciate another man's hard work. I also worked hard to be who I am today. My money wasn't handed down to me on a silver platter. I worked hard for it. However, you seem more interested in comparing who is richer than who," Musk said. He added, "Just because I have money doesn't mean I no longer understand the value of people. I don't waste my time comparing myself to others because I work hard daily to be the best version of myself. Besides, what do you know about me that gives you the right to judge based on some stereotypes you have met in the past? And if your way of reasoning is to assume all rich people are full of themselves, well, you are rich, aren't you? Do you feel you're better than those who fly business or even economy class?" Mr. Stevens Stephen's face turned red in embarrassment. "Well, no, of course not," he stuttered. Elon Musk continued, "People will be people. It does not matter how much money they have made. If they are good people, they are good people. If they are bad people, it doesn't matter how much money they have, they will still be bad people. You don't know me or where I came from, so you don't have the right to make a biased judgment on my character. Just like you, I'm a hard worker. I dedicate my time and energy to my work to ensure it is the best." Musk sighed before adding, "As an entrepreneur, I know that it is very risky to make a judgment clouded by sentiments and emotions. When we do that, we make mistakes, and you should understand the dangers of making bad decisions due to faulty judgment. In the future, please refrain from making such derogatory remarks about someone without first confirming if they are true. We are businessmen, not gossips." With that, Elon Musk turned around and left the airport, cameras flashing as he passed. As soon as he stepped out of the airport, he was greeted by his chauffeur, who took his bag and dropped it in the trunk. "Hope you had a safe flight, Mr. Elon," he inquired politely while holding the door open for him. "Honestly, Jeffrey, you don't want to know." With that statement, Elon entered his Tesla Model 3 and zoomed off toward the headquarters. On the ride, he thought about the journey he had just taken and sighed. Judging by the cameras, he knew he would soon be making headlines on gossip blogs and all over the internet. He pulled out his phone and called his public relations officer. Immediately he picked, Elon said, "We might soon have a situation from the press on our hands." Meanwhile, an embarrassed Stephen Craig walked out of the airport shortly after Elon Musk did. He hired a taxi, which took him to his mother's house. On the way home, he reminisced about what Elon Musk had said. When he arrived at his mother's house, he made a beeline for the kitchen. His mother was cooking his favorite chicken fried steak. On seeing her son, she was so overwhelmed with joy, but the look on his face turned her smile upside down. "What's wrong, Stephen?" she asked in a worried tone. "Nothing, ma'am. I've just had a long flight." He then walked up to her and kissed her on the cheek. "Well, why don't you go up and shower? Then we can discuss your flight over dinner, "Yes, ma'am," he responded, and then went upstairs to shower. He thought about all Elon Musk had said to him and figured that what he said was true. Due to his past experience with rich people, he had classified all rich people as being the same with a sense of entitlement. However, he was rich now. Did that make him like them? Since when did he become so prejudiced toward people like that? One of his greatest attributes was his ability to make sound judgment without being blinded by his emotions. That was one of the reasons he was doing well in business. His conversation with Elon Musk was an eye-opener. He needed to work harder to be a better person. At the dinner table, he explained in detail what had happened on the plane while his mother listened attentively. After narrating the incident, his mother sighed and said, "Stephen, the words you speak to others define who you are. They tell people the kind of person you are. You said a lot of things today that you shouldn't have said, but at least you feel remorseful. A real man is not afraid to own up to his mistakes and then rectify them, so you'll find a way to ensure that you apologize to that man, okay?" "Yes, ma'am," he answered soberly. Over the next couple of days, the video of the incident at the airport went viral on social media, making it a hot topic for discussion. While some said that Mr. Stephen was right and called Mr. Elon Musk a rich kid with a sense of entitlement, a lot also argued that just because someone was privileged to have become rich didn't make them bad people. Yes, there are indeed rich people with a sense of entitlement, but even some poor people feel like they deserve to have things they did not work for. This became a major topic of debate on social media. When Elon Musk was asked if he would press charges for defamation of character, he released a press statement via his public relations officer that he would not. When people heard this, they were even more astonished. Some said he did it to gain the people's sympathy, but Elon Musk was not moved. He and his team were on the verge of a breakthrough and couldn't afford to lose focus. Some people said he didn't press charges because he knew what Mr. Stephen said was true, but he just let them talk. Stephen felt remorseful. He sincerely regretted his actions but didn't know how to apologize. Getting access to a powerful man like Elon Musk was hard, but he would not give up. He had to make amends for what he had done. He was determined to try again at Tesla headquarters and hoped to finally get an opportunity to see and apologize to Mr. Elon Musk. The next day, it just so happened that he finally got an audience with Elon Musk. Elon had just come out of a meeting with the board of directors when his secretary informed him of a visitor who desperately wanted to see him. The visitor turned out to be none other than Mr. Stephen Craig. "Mr. Elon, good afternoon. Sorry to bother you at a time like this, but but I've been trying to reach you for a while now. I see. Please have a seat, Mr. Elon replied. So, what brings you here, Mr. Stephen? Elon asked. Mr. Stephen began fidgeting in his seat and then cleared his throat. Well, the thing is that I've come to apologize about what happened at the airport. I was being a jerk. I had a bad day and took out my frustration on you. I apologize for that. No one deserves to be treated like how I treated you. You are a good man, sir, and I greatly respect you. I never would have handled the issue in such a mature manner like you did, and the things you said about me are true. I greatly respect you, Mr. Elon, and I hope you forgive me for everything I said. I didn't mean any of it. Elon was silent for a minute. He looked into Mr. Stephen's eyes and saw his sincerity. Mr. Stephen worriedly thought, will he kick me out? He held his breath. Then Elon Musk smiled. Mr. Stephen, I respect the fact that you were able to acknowledge your mistakes and then take steps to make amends. That was really brave of you. I forgive you and wish you the best of luck in business. Wait, really? Mr. Stephen said, shocked. He had not expected Elon Musk to forgive him immediately. A smile broke out on his face. Thank you, he said with a wide grin, taking Elon's hand. Thank you, he said again. The two men chatted about business for a while and then went their separate ways on good terms. Every day, as we step out, we encounter people with different characters. Some are good, others bad, but we must never let their bad overshadow our good. We must ensure that we approach life with a clear mind and conscience without letting people's evil intentions corrupt our souls. We must ensure we have the correct facts before making decisions to avoid hurting the wrong people. People are prone to make mistakes, and it doesn't matter how much money they have, they remain human. This was a big lesson Elon Musk taught Mr. Stephen, and he intended to hold on to it for a long time. What are your thoughts about how Elon Musk handled Mr. Stephen's arrogance, and what lesson did you pick from the story? Let us know in the comments. If this video was inspiring, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Also, turn on the notification bell to receive notifications of new posts. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen. See you in the next video.